Hanging backstage, Rock on the Range 2014. These guys just in town a few days ago, but they're hanging out with me right now. We're talking with Seether. Gentlemen, how are you guys?
Doing great today.
A little hungover.
You're not the only one then.
We went to the roast of Corey Taylor last night, and it was pretty great, man. It's really not a good idea to hand out free booze to us, though.
It's not a good idea to hand out free booze at a rock event at all.
No, especially when that includes vodka and whiskey.
Yeah.
And everything, pretty much everything that was free, we just took it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's free, just hand it over.
Yeah, we sort of like equal opportunity alcohol shoppers, I guess.
Consumers.
Yeah, consumers.
There you go. We'll take that. So, what did you guys think about the roast last night as a whole? Because I thought I had tears out of my eyes most of the night.
It was funny sometimes. It was awkward at other times. I think those things always have sort of a range of emotions for the people watching. I mean, I've never really been a fan of roasts in general, just because I think it's kind of it's mean spirited. But having said that makes me sound like I'm some sort of hippie, which I'm not. So no, I mean, it was cool. I have much respect for Corey. I mean, Jamie from Hatebreed was also another. So it was kind of cool hanging out and just seeing those guys take the piss out of each other. You know what I mean?
I gotta say, you were talking about the awkward moments. I think Sebastian Bach was the most awkward last night.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
He looked like he did not. The script he had, he didn't pre-read it before he walked out.
Trainwreck came to mind.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. I mean, he's a very, very likable guy, very, very high energy guy. Not a good MC for a roast, especially when. And I think in all fairness, though, in his defense, he didn't write the jokes.
Right.
So some of those jokes were awful, and he had no choice but to throw them out there. So I think kudos to him for sticking it out in the face of adversity. I think he did a good job, man.
Yeah, he didn't do too bad, but like you said, he was stuck with some of those jokes. Sometimes it sounded like he was reading it for the first time last night.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what's happening.
I would have at least gone through it and been like, no way am I saying that. Yeah, I would have crossed out a lot of that stuff.
Nonetheless,
it takes some
opponents to do that.
It took. Yeah, he's got a massive pair of brass balls between his legs. But again, all in all, it was fun. I guess it raised some money for Music Cares, which is the important thing.
Right.
And it was a good time. And like I said, I never have a bad time when there's an open bar. So
well, we're all hungover today because I'm with you too. I got up at 6 a.m. and I was like, okay, well, that was mistake number one of the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know that I should, dude. I'm getting too old to do that. Like, drink all night, wake up really early. In fact, I should be in a coma right now, I think. So,
that's what I made the mistake of switching from vodka to whiskey last night. And now I'm
never mixed.
You never mix, man. You never mix white and dark, bro. Amateur.
You act like you've done this for the first time.
You gotta learn to crawl before you can fly, Sparrow.
Normally, yeah.
Drinking tips with Seether here at Rock on the Range.
Yeah.
So you guys are just coming off of Rise Above Fest. By the way, congratulations on that. It looked like it was very successful from the reports that I saw. How did that all go for you just the day of?
It was great, man. We had a lot of great bands play. Hell Yeah, King, Blackstone Cherry, Avenged Sevenfold. We had it up in the northeast, up in Bangor, Maine, which is about as far north as we can go and put on a show. But I was living in New Hampshire for a while, and it was important to me to have something up in the Northeast and give back as far as suicide awareness and suicide prevention. And those states up there are having a pretty hard time. I think a lot of the northern states, with the long winters and the dreary weather, are having a hard time sort of with their suicide rates and stuff. So it was a good time. We got 124 noise complaints, which means we did something right. Oh yeah,
success.
Which means it was very successful. I'm sure it was one old lady 124 times, to be honest. But either way, it was a good time. We raised, I think, over $60,000.
That is awesome.
And it's going to go to a good cause. So I think what we're going to do, the next step for us is we're actually going to start our own foundation, and then we'll move to. What we'll start doing is we'll select maybe 5 or 6 major cities across the country and have
kind of like a tour situation, kind of like Rock on the Range, but like your own version.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think. We might move it till later in the year, sort of the end of summer, maybe beginning of fall or whatever makes the most sense. But then I think initially just have it in already set venues, and then possibly if it takes off, man, we could start having this become a thing that tours the country like the summer festivals do. So that's the dream one day. But even if we could just do it in a couple of major cities and raise, I mean, you know, we up in Bangor, Maine, we did $60,000 for charity. If we were in, say, you know, Chicago, or if we were in a major city, like any of the major cities, like down in Texas,
even here in Columbus, for
exactly.
instance,
I think we could have doubled that, if not more. So that's the thing, is the more money we can raise for a good cause, that's really the point of it, you know.
Well, that's great, man. Good to see that everything went well for you.
Thanks, man.
New album coming out July 1st, if I'm
Yes.
Okay. Isolate and Medicate. We got the first single already, Words as Weapons, which is a very. I love the tune because it's kind of like a different style for you guys with like the tempo changes and everything the whole way through.
You know, I think with every album you have to write something that's more interesting and it challenges us as a band and challenges the listener and even us as music writers. I think you want to do stuff that's a little bit more interesting, and because there's nothing worse than putting out the same album over and over and over again. And I mean, I can mention a couple of bands that have done that, you know, quite blatantly. But I think you have to keep evolving. Like, I mean, for me, hate him or love him, a band like Korn has evolved every single time.
Yeah,
now, sometimes I didn't like what they did, other times I loved it. But at least they have the balls to go out and say, look, this is where we're at right now. And we can't always be the Korn that plays Blind, you know, or Ball Tongue, or the first album. It's not always going to be that kind of band. So that's an inspiration, and the band is still around and still doing it. That's awesome.
How do you feel about the fans, though? I mean, just as musicians that come out like, oh, you guys have changed and you sold out, because like Korn has gone through so many changes and they have had so many fans backlash against it. I'm sure you guys have had that too. How's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we've ever really had a backlash, because we've never really changed quite as drastically as Korn has, for example. Like, we never put out a dubstep album. Right. You know what I'm saying? I think the only time we see any sort of backlash is when we have, for example, when you have I don't know, a single that's slightly different, and it pushes a boundary, like Country Song, for example. People were like, what has happened to the band? I don't think that it was. I mean, it was a fun song. The idea of music is to have fun while getting yourself.
And it was still a hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was
opens up demographics at that point too. You're inviting more people in.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you know, with every album you want to grow your fan base. You don't want to shrink it down. You know?
Right. And you don't want to be the band that just sells X number of copies per record. You know that's it. And that's all you're going to do.
I don't want to have, like, you know, an expectation of what's going to happen, and I think that's important. You know, this whole thing, we've been doing this now for 12 years, man, and it's like, you know, that's so great that we're still doing it. I mean, it could end at any point, and the idea is to try and keep it going as long as possible by keeping people interested as long as possible. And as long as I'm interested, because I mean, I write the music first and foremost for myself. I'm not sitting in a studio or in my room going, hey, what am I going to write for somebody else? It's all stuff that helps me through and gets me through my situation. So the fact that people enjoy that's great. And I think that if people that enjoy the band will really love this album that's coming out. I mean, I think that it's got some really heavy stuff on it. It's got some real melodic stuff on it, and I know we sort of almost say that every time, but it really does. And I think it's gonna surprise people.
This is all the songs on this one are just.
I am interested.
Me away.
I am interested in hearing, because, like, just hearing, like I said already, how that song's kind of a different style song in some ways for you guys. Does the rest of the album fall like that? Because you're talking hard songs. Is there like another Gasoline on there, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some stuff that could be reminiscent of the first album, but I think just with like the growth aspect of the band infused into that. So I don't know. It's difficult to say. I mean, people are going to form their own opinions no matter what I say. You know, I think we've grown. I think we've retained a lot of I think it still sounds like our band, and I think that's important. And I think it always will sound like our band because we're involved. And I don't think that it's like, you know, I don't think a song like Words as Weapons is such a departure from something like, I don't know. I mean, Broken was real melodic and real chilled out.
Yeah, and that was kind of a departure in some ways. Some people.
That's what I'm saying. And so we're a band that does have a lot of diversity on the albums and eclectic music taste. So, you know, we're not just going to stick with the formula and put out what people expect, or what has been something that, I don't know. I think we sort of want to keep people slightly off kilter as well to keep them interested. You know,
10 songs on this album, then?
Yeah, 10 on the album, and then I guess there'll be a bonus version with 14 songs on it.
So it'll be like the iTunes version.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the obligatory.
And a vinyl as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we have vinyl, man, this time, which is really cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Which is cool that bands are getting. It's kind of like weird that in this modern age of digital and technology that we're still like people still collect vinyl and go out and buy on record store day.
I think us older people collect vinyl. I like vinyl. I think it's cool. It's I'll never open it up and play it on a record player. Personally, I don't have one right now. I'd love to have one, but I think vinyl's just got a cool sort of throwback nostalgia to it that.
It's for the collectors as well. I mean,
absolutely,
yeah. And the good thing too, it's like all three of these products, they actually have all different artwork, slightly different too.
So it's all creations.
Yeah.
All right. Well, July 1st is the date. Isolate and Medicate is the new album. Words is Weapons. It's on Q103. Seether, thank you guys so much for coming on by.
Thanks for having us, man.
Good days.